Hi everyone, Kelly here, and I want to talk about the books I read in April. And I usually am having such a hard time finding time in the day to film nowadays with working and the way our house is set up. But it is a gorgeous day today, and so even though I wouldn't normally be able to film on a Saturday, my kids are playing outside, my husband is on a bike ride, so I'm hoping I can film this without any kids like suddenly needing my attention or help. So let's get to it. I read, 7 books in April, and I gave almost everything 4 stars. But here's the thing, I had several books in April that I gave 4 stars that I was like, is this really a 3? And I kept going back and forth. And so they were not necessarily all solid 4 stars. So I'm gonna go from my least favorite to my most favorite, so I can kind of explain like why I couldn't commit to 3 stars, but they're not like as good as some of my 4 stars. First, I will talk about the one 3-star, which I almost gave it a 4-star, and I was like, no, I need to commit that this is a 3-star. And this is Better Than Revenge by Casey West. I listened to this on audiobook, and this one, I was not expecting it to be amazing because I don't really read young adult contemporaries anymore, but I used to love Casey West's books like 10 years or so ago. And I just had a night where I wanted to like do a puzzle and have something to listen to that I didn't have to put a lot of brain work on, that I could put on a higher speed and like do my puzzle for like, I think it took me 3.5 hours to do a 1,000-piece puzzle. And while I did that, I listened to this book. And so it was not like I was wanting a real complicated story. I just wanted some fluff. And so this is a young adult romance about this girl that at the very beginning, she really loves podcasts and she wants to get this position. Like your senior year, only 2 people are picked to be podcast hosts, and that usually leads to an internship that gets you like this position in college afterwards. And so this is what she's been working for her entire high school career. And she's got this football boyfriend, and he was helping her get ready for this interview to be the podcast host. Okay, now my kids are coming in. Hold on. Okay, kids are back outside. So where was I? So anyways, she's going into her interview for the podcast position, and then she comes back out and she's like, okay, it's time to go. And her boyfriend's like, no, actually, I'm going to audition too. And he gets the spot after like she's been working all this time. She had no idea that he was going to audition, and like she basically feels like he took her spot. And so she wants to get revenge. They break up. She wants to get revenge. And he's the kicker on the football team. And so she teams up with the other kicker that's about to like graduate, the senior kicker, to teach her how to be a kicker. And she wants to like, try out to be the kicker on the football team next year and kick her ex-boyfriend out of his position. And so it's all about revenge. It's just a cutesy romance. Like, it wasn't amazing because it was just set on revenge the whole time, it kind of took a little bit away from the romantic part. So I wasn't like as invested, but I did really like her friend group. She has like a really close friend group, and I really liked their dynamic. So there was parts that were fine. It's a 3-star book. All right, and then moving on to my 4 stars that maybe weren't fully 4 stars. I read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and I read this with my best friend. We've been reading it for a couple months now. This is like our 3rd big buddy read. We did like Les Mis 2 years ago. We did the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy last year, and then this was our first one this year. And compared to the other books we read, this flew by because we don't read that much in a week. Since she's not as big as a reader as me, but this was the fastest we've ever read a book. But I didn't love this as much as I thought I would. Somebody who has grown up with the like 90s Little Women movie with Winona Ryder and Christian Bale, I thought I would love this because I love that movie. But I think that the book is just so saccharine sweet. Like, it felt like my teeth were hurting reading this book. It's so moralistic and so overly sweet that I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but I still like enjoy the characters. I like the sisters and their mother and like the relationship between all of them and going through their lives and all that. But I think it was just the way it was written, which is why I probably liked the movie so much, because we still get the character work, but without there was no subtlety in this. This is like in your face morals. And so I didn't love this. It's probably a 3-star, but because I have some other memories of these characters from the movie, it probably moves it to a 4-star. And reading this with my best friend and discussing it, and the fact that she had not seen a movie, she did not know anything about this, which I feel like this is such a like iconic story, whether through the movies or through the book, that I was just like amazed that she didn't know who the women end up with, or who the girls, you know, like when as they get older, who they get married to, what happens to certain characters. And I was just like, how do you not know this stuff? It just feels so ingrained in society. So that was kind of interesting reading it together, but I just didn't love this as much as I wanted to. So yeah, Little Women. And then I went to an event for Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I did this last year too. Our local bookstore does a little event where you get together and do like Emily Henry trivia and have cocktails and talk to other Emily Henry fans on the like day that the book came out. And I had a Libro FM audio copy of this, so I'd actually read most of the book before even getting to the event and getting my hard copy. But I actually purposely did not finish it. I could have finished it before the event, but as I was listening to it, I thought I wasn't gonna like it, and I didn't want to show up at this event not liking the book. So I was like, I'm gonna stop now, because there's always hope that I will like it better, and not like coming into this event being like, oh, you're all excited about this book we all just got at this event, and it wasn't that good. But I do feel like I liked the second half of this better than the first half. I was really not liking the first half of this, but then I feel like the second half redeemed it for me, but I just don't know. Like, I gave it 4 stars because I'm having a hard time thinking of it as a 3-star book because it's Emily Henry and I do really love her writing. But the first half of this just did not really do much for me. We're basically following these 2 writers that are competing for the same job as, like, there's a famous woman who's like they're an heiress of this family who has been out of society for a long time. She's kind of like lived her hermit life in the second half of her life. And so now she's finally like going to tell her story, and these 2 are competing to tell that story. So it's not really about the romance between the 2 of them as the main plot. The main plot is this woman's life. And so we go back in time, and this follows this woman's whole life as they're interviewing her. And then there's also like a developing romance between these 2. And I like the romance. I did like some of the interactions with the older woman that they're interviewing, like kind of some of the things that, especially the woman, like we're following the lady, what's her name? Alice. We're following Alice mostly. So like her interaction, I appreciated. And then what got me at the end to make it a 4-star was her relationship with her mother. I felt a lot of parallels with my relationship with my mother and parents. So I think that kind of like gave me that connection that got it to 4 stars, but it's definitely one of my least favorite Emily Henry books. But some people are really loving it. I think because it leans more literary fiction, maybe it'll reach a wider audience than just her plain romance. Like, because a lot of her other books are mostly like romance, and this one is only like maybe 50% romance or 40% romance, and then 60% literary fiction. So maybe it'll bring in a different audience. But yeah, it was 4 stars, but like, was it really 4 stars? Maybe it was more 3 stars. And then I also read Lasagna Means I Love You by Kate O'Shaughnessy, and this is a middle grade novel. And in middle grade March, people were talking about this a lot. A lot of the people, like the hosts and a lot of other people, had read this book and really loved it. And I knew it had some like storylines about adoption and foster care, and so I wanted to pick it up to see if I wanted to give it to my kids, since we're a family, both my kids were adopted. And I don't know, there was a lot of the times this book I was like disliking it and wanting to give it less stars, but that's because it's because sometimes foster parents are not great. And so then when I got to the end, I was like, I don't dislike the book. I'm mad about the foster care system and some of the people that choose to be foster parents and the way they treat kids. That it's not the book. That's not the book's fault. Obviously, that's the foster care system. And so the book. So I had to think about it objectively. The book is good. The story is good. The characters are good. I'm just mad at a lot of the adults in this situation. But we're following this girl who basically her grandmother has died at the beginning, and she goes into foster care because her grandmother was her guardian, and she only has one other family member who doesn't agree to take her, so she has to go into foster care, and kind of how that works out. And it's a middle grade novel, so it has a hopeful trajectory and all that. But yeah, there are some adults that are just doing some things that I'm like, oh, so selfish and all that. So it got me frustrated, but it is good. And it revolves around food. So basically, as her hobby to kind of help with her grief is that she starts like a blog about family recipes. So that's a big part, and I like all the food stuff in it. Okay, and then I think that's all the ones that are like, these were the 3 that I'm like, are they 4 stars or are they actually 3 stars? So that's all of those. Let's move into my actually solid 4 stars. Next, I have Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. All of these like titles kind of get me confused. So this is the sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I really loved that book. I only gave it 4 stars out of 5 because our main character makes some stupid decisions. She still continues to do that. She's young. She's in high school. So I'm like, okay, she's going to make some dumb decisions as she's investigating these things. So the first one, she was investigating a cold case. This one, she's like, I'm done investigating things because, a lot of stuff happened in the first book. But then one of her good friends, his brother goes missing, and he's like, I really need your help. I need the use of your podcast to get the word out that my brother's missing. Somebody might know some information. So she starts a new investigation about this missing person's case. So it's a little different. Like in the first one, you are following like kind of what you would think is a murder, because they're just assuming that the girl in the first one is dead. And so it's a cold case disappearance / murder. And this one is just a missing person's case. But they're still shady characters. She still makes some dumb decisions. The end kind of goes a little wild. But I really enjoy these. I'm not sure. I'm already started the 3rd one. I'm not sure I'm going to like how it ends. I'm only at the beginning. But a lot of people do not like the 3rd book. So I'm a little nervous about that. But I really did enjoy this one. And then another 4-star that is a solid 4 stars. Oh, and it's upside down. Is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. And this was just so charming. And so it wasn't quite 5-star because there were some times that I was getting a little like less engaged, but definitely always wanted to keep coming back to it and ended up really enjoying it. Like the characters in this. We are following Emily Wilde. This is all told in kind of journal entries. So like it'll be like the date or whatever. And she is a professor of like folklore and the Fae. And she goes to this like Nordic place. I can't remember where it's at. Somewhere up in Scandinavia. And she's investigating this specific type of fairy that hasn't been written about very much. And she meets a lot of other different Fae type and, all that. And she's writing this all down so she can write her Encyclopedia of Fairies. She's got a coworker named Wendell. Is that his name? Yeah, Wendell, who also is a professor of the Fae. And they have a very contentious relationship. Like, he's really famous and attractive. And so, like, he gets a lot of the fame in this field where she's more, like, analytical and professorly and all that. So they aren't really on the same like page with all that, but they still respect each other in their field. And I just really enjoyed this. It does have, I think some people, because it looks cozy and everything, and there's a lot of cozy stuff, but there is also some dark parts in this. So that actually kind of reminded me of T. Kingfisher, which is one of my favorite, where sometimes it feels cozy, but then you'll have a scene you're like, whoa, that was dark. So just keeping that in mind, that this isn't like pure cozy the whole way through. There are some dark moments because it's the Fae, and the Fae do some dark things. But for the most part, it's pretty cozy and charming, and I really like both of our characters, Emily and Wendell, and a lot of the town folk. You get to meet a lot of the town there in the small town. And is it Finland? I don't know why I can't remember where they're at. And I just, it was great. I definitely bought the next one right away. I want to continue it. So that one was a solid 4 stars. And the last one was a reread. The Hunger Games is always going to be 5 stars for me. This is very shiny, so I'm going to put it down. But yeah, I wanted to reread them because I just bought Sunrise on the Reaping. Is that what it's called? Whatever the new Hunger Games novel is. But I kind of wanted to revisit the old ones. I didn't end up continuing after the Hunger Games. I might, but I just really wanted to pick up the old trilogy before starting it. But now I might just continue. I might just go and read the prequel instead of continuing the old trilogy because I've read them enough times. But it had been about 5 years since I'd read them. And once again, still love Katniss. I think what really like stands out to me, because I think I had watched the movies since reading this the last time, and the books, I feel like I like Katniss so much more in the books because you get her internal thoughts and you really realize that she views everything as the game. And so she is suspicious of Peeta the whole book because she just doesn't know what's the game and what's real life. And I really think that's great to like entertaining, like not I say like a great personality thing, but like it's life or death. Like the Hunger Games are life or death. And so I really appreciate that some, you know, young adult dystopians, it's like so much focused on the romantic parts that you forget that it's life or death. But like, I feel like in this, you know, the whole time, this is a life or death. They're high stakes and romance is not top on her list. And she is suspicious of everything. And she just really wants to get back to her family. I mean, except for Rue, which that is a beautiful like moments in the like book or whatever of like actually having somebody to connect with that she's not suspicious of and all that. So there are high points like that, but then for the most part, it doesn't forget that there's stakes. And so I really appreciate that about the Hunger Games book. So still a 5-star, still find it entertaining. And that's it for me. So mostly 4 stars, though some of them were a little closer to probably a 3.5 or 3 stars. You know, I was just torn with a lot of these, but for the most part, I was having a pretty good month. Could have been a lot worse. And yeah, that's it for me. If you've read any of these and you want to talk about them, I would love to hear from you down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.